coverage of the Türksat 6A mission, a geostationary Earth orbit, or GEO, communication satellite for the Republic of Türkiye. It's the country's first fully domestic communication satellite and will extend coverage to regions such in India, Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia. With Türksat 6A, the population reached by Türkiye satellites will expand from 3.5 billion people to 5 billion. We'll have more to share about today's payload later on in the webcast. Currently, both the vehicle and range are green, and we're on track for an on-time launch. Weather was a bit of a watch item for us today, but things are now looking good for liftoff in about 9 minutes from now. For now, let's meet the vehicle and learn a little bit more about the most flown U.S. launch vehicle ever, our Falcon 9 rocket. Falcon 9 is a two-stage rocket developed and manufactured by SpaceX, known for its safe, reliable, and cost-effective access to space. It's also the first and currently the only orbital-class rocket capable of reflight. Starting at the top of the vehicle is the payload fairing, a protective shell that encases the payload being sent to space. Made of a carbon composite material and having a 17-foot diameter, the space within the payload fairing is able to comfortably contain your average-sized fire truck. Now, that fairing made up of two halves will separate and jettison away from the vehicle, exposing the payload once Falcon 9 reaches space. And today's payload, currently encapsulated within those payload fairings, is the Türksat 6A communication satellite. Continuing down the vehicle, we have the second stage. The second stage is powered by a single Merlin vacuum engine, or MVAC engine, which is optimized to perform in the vacuum of space. After stage separation, the MVAC will ignite and carry the payload to its final orbit. The Falcon 9's first and second stages are connected via the black inner stage, which houses the MVAC engine and the system that decouples the two stages during stage separation. And below that is the first stage, which is powered by 9 Merlin engines. These 9 Merlin engines provide the initial thrust to lift Falcon 9 off the ground through the lower, thicker part of the atmosphere. There are 8 engines arranged around one center engine and are collectively held in place by a structure called the octaweb. Each of these Merlin 1D engines delivers about 190,000 pounds of thrust at sea level, which gives Falcon 9 a combined 1.7 million pounds of thrust. After stage separation, Stage 1, also called the booster, will return to Earth for recovery and reuse on a future mission using a combination of the Merlin sea level engines and the 4 titanium grid fins located near the top of the booster.
Seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Go SpaceX, go Türksat. Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
At T plus 30 seconds and counting, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Slick 40 carrying the Türksat 6A satellite. Now, after clearing the tower, we'll tilt or gimbal the engines on the booster to initiate a roll maneuver, which you may notice in the Stage 1 camera view. This enables the vehicle's antennas to stay in the best position for communicating with the ground. And in just a few seconds, we'll be throttling down the engines in preparation for max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure. We should hear that call out in about 15 seconds from now.
Vehicle is supersonic. Max Q.
And there's that call out for max Q. Now, as Falcon 9 accelerates through the thicker lower atmosphere, the air density decreases. Falcon 9 passes max Q, the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, once the air density lowers faster than the increasing speed of the vehicle. Now, as the rocket continues to ascend, be sure to watch the Stage 1 telemetry at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen to see the speed changes through ascent. The rocket typically needs to go 17,500
engine chill has started.
17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and get into orbit. Coming up shortly, we'll have 3 events coming up in quick succession, and we should hear all of these called out by Mission Control, starting with MECO, followed by stage separation, and then SES-1. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, is where we shut down all 9 M1D engines on the first stage to slow the vehicle down in preparation for stage separation, which is when the first and second stages of Falcon separate from one another. After Stage 1 shuts down its engines and separates from the second stage, the booster will begin to make its way back to land, descending under the acceleration of gravity until it's time to relight engines for the entry burn. And Second Engine Start 1, or SES1, is when we light the MVAC engine on the second stage for the first time. So watch out for these events happening just a few moments from each.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And there's that call out for our Stage 1 landing. As a reminder, this was the 15th launch and landing for this first stage, and this landing marks SpaceX's 328th recovery of an orbital-class rocket, including both first-stage landings for both Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. And with confirmation of nominal orbital insertion, we'll now have a roughly 18-minute coast phase, and then we'll be back for our Second Engine Start 2, or SES2, of the MVAC engine on the second stage at about the T plus 27-minute mark. So for now, enjoy some space tunes, and we'll see you back here for SES2.